evening, Kristen. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to reiterate from our last session that everything that you say tonight will be kept confidential, within the limitations that we had discussed. Those still apply. And I just wanted to talk about some of the things that we had discussed last week that were bothering you. Mostly your anger and your frustration. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, I mean, like I had mentioned before, briefly, that I just have this, I know that I can't control it, but I have this, frustration, you know, when I go to lights, or, you know, get stopped at stoplights on my way to work, and I have like a 35-minute drive, you know, so I hit, I don't know, like 15, 20 lights, going from Harrington to Dover, so that bothers me, and honestly, like, people driving slow in front of me in the, when they're in the left lane, that's the fast lane, newsflash. So when people go slow, it, like, really, really, really frustrates me. Like, right now, I just feel, you know, I kind of feel this in my heart, you know, or
just
my chest. Just thinking about it. And I always say to myself, I'm going to get a sign that says, if you're driving slow, get in the right lane, the slow lane, not the fast lane. You know what I mean? I just...
Yeah. And so how do you feel right now?
You know, I feel it in my heart, you know, I feel, or my chest, my heart kind of started, you know, increasing when I was just talking about it.
Some rapid breathing and heart beating.
Yeah. It's just, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Those are definitely normal symptoms, you know, normal feelings to have. You know, with something that provokes anxiety and anger or frustration. You know, so I'd like to work with you on a process called stress inoculation therapy. And this process, it'll help you learn to kind of cope with these situations. And like you had described, driving and just being around other drivers and some of the foolishness of them and how that affects you. And we can kind of help you manage the intensity of your anger, the feelings and the thoughts that you have when you're in these experiences. Because, I mean, you drive probably about an hour a day?
About 40 minutes or so. Oh, back and forth.
Back and forth,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
total.
Yeah.
At least an hour?
At least an hour.
Yeah.
Hour 10, yeah.
So this is something that you encounter pretty frequently.
Every day, at least 5 days a week, and on the weekend if I go to Dover for anything, so it could be 6, 7 days a week, but definitely 5. And yeah, like you said, it's about an hour, hour and a half a day that I'm dealing with this. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. You know.
Alright.
People decide to act right.
Yeah. And, you know, just kind of, as we go through this process, you know, we'll start by kind of understanding what some of the things that trigger for you, and, you know, what those thoughts and those feelings are for you, and, you know, how you respond to your anger. And then we'll discuss some coping strategies, some relaxation, different things like that. Some problem solving, just ideas of how you can handle the situations when they arise.
That would be good.
And, you know, this is a slow process. We won't, you know, achieve it all today. You know, it definitely takes time, and we'll work at a pace that you're comfortable with. So, you know, just let me know if, you know, you want to go back, or you want to work on something else. And, you know, we'll also kind of take into account what, you know, how you would react if it doesn't work out the way that you had expected, or, you know, if we have any setbacks along the way. So we'll try to prepare for them as well.
Okay, that sounds good.
And, you know, just kind of getting into this, some of the information, and just kind of try to remember that it's your thoughts and your feelings that, you know, create the stress within you. It's not necessarily the events themselves, or the drivers themselves, you know, or the red lights. Those things, you know, aren't controlling your anger. They may spark it, but it's, you know, it's your response, and it's your reaction to it that kind of continues it. So as we, you know, we try to discuss that, we'll also look at ways that you can manage and cope with these feelings, and just some coping thoughts, some new ways to think about it when you feel this way.
That should help.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay. I just want to start by going over, some of the physical and the cognitive changes that occur, when you start to get angry.
Okay.
You might notice some physical changes, like as you had expressed earlier, your heart starts to beat faster, your breathing increases, your muscles might feel tense, you're, all over, your face feels warm. These are all signs of, some physical anxieties, some of the physical experiences of your anger.
I felt all of those before.
As we were discussing
Yeah.
it? Yeah, you had expressed some of it.
I experience those on almost a daily basis,
Every day.
Sometimes they last a little long, sometimes it's my whole trip, sometimes it's just, one or till someone gets out of my way and I can drive.
Okay.
So yeah, I've experienced those before.
Okay. And then some of the cognitive things that you might not even be aware of, or you might not think about, so to speak, at that moment. When you kind of go into like this, kind of like a fight or flight, like you kind of are preparing to fight almost.
Okay.
So, your mind, the event will trigger an emotional sense of threat. So that overrides all logic, all sense of reasoning, and, kind of the calmness gets overwhelmed with the frustration and the anger. So, you might think things like, I'm going to be late because of this light, or if this guy doesn't get out of my way, I'm going to be I'll be late, I won't make it where I need to, it's going to ruin my whole day.
Right, oh yeah.
And these kinds of thoughts only intensify the anger. So it only kind of makes it, perpetuates it, it makes it a little bit worse. It just builds the anxiety that you're feeling physically.
Okay.
So, and you may, with it building like that, you kind of start to think that, like, this isn't going to end, then you kind of begin to feel angry just in general or for longer. But it's, you might find if you kind of sit back and think of it and you're aware of it as the anger comes, that it happens in phases.
Okay.
And, the first phase is, you're preparing for the issue, you're anticipating the anger. So with that phase, we'll look at how we can, you can prepare yourself to anticipate these issues. Maybe if you see a yellow light, like you can, start to prepare like how, your thoughts,
Okay.
Maybe some relaxation strategies as we'll discuss later.
Okay.
The second phase would be like during the actual situation that's causing you anger, and at that time, you might just be feeling very angry, maybe you feel like you want to lose control, you want to pull over and yell at somebody.
Run them off the road.
Yeah. And, we'll kind of work on ways that you can cope with these feelings and kind of cope with these behaviors, the feelings and the emotions, and work out new feelings and new ways to think about it, some different ideas.
That sounds good.
And then also, finally, like once the situation is over, you may feel angry with yourself for how you handled it. Maybe you yelled at somebody and you feel bad about that, or you're just mad at yourself for getting mad about a light.
And letting it ruin my whole day, or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And so we'll talk about ways that you can encourage yourself to kind of work through that.
Okay.
All right. And we'll practice using each of these skills.
Okay.
We'll talk through it, and then we'll practice some of them. And once you're ready, this will take time. We'll do some homework, and we'll evaluate it over the next few weeks.
Okay.
And when you feel ready, we'll start practicing actually applying these techniques.
Oh, okay.
So if it's very gradual.
Okay.
And we'll move at whatever pace you're comfortable with.
Okay, that sounds good then.
So have you noticed anything particular that really provokes you when you're driving?
That gets me frustrated the most.
Like people in the left lane.
Yeah, people in the left lane.
That would be one.
Going slow in the left lane. That's if they're going fast, I'm fine with it. But if they're going slow, they need to get. It's like respect. You need to get over in the right lane.
Okay.
definitely that plus hitting, every single red light. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm driving home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm still hitting
Okay.
every red light. There's no one around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I just don't understand
Why? You have to
why
sit there.
I'm sitting here if there's no one at any of the intersections, and I'm hitting
Okay.
every single one of them. It's 11 o'clock at night, there's no one out.
Okay. All right. So the red lights and people in the left
Driving
lane
slow.
that aren't driving quick enough, they really kind of provoke your anger, and that can definitely be a trigger.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we'll talk about one of the homework assignments that I'll go over with you is actually like a log. To keep a log, just jot down times. Probably not while you're driving. That's not safe, but. Once you get home, just make a quick little note about, something that frustrated you along the way, something on the ride that really bothered you, and what you felt physically, some of your thoughts, and, maybe some of your reactions. Did you start screaming at the guy? Did you just
get as
knock
close
him?
as I can
Yeah.
to him,
Knock him off the side of the road?
flick him off.
Yeah. So just make notes of that, and we'll track it, and look at how you're handling that. What really sets you off. We'll look for some patterns, and then where we can put these new thoughts in, and put some coping strategies in. So, does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay.
I need to deal with this.
Yeah. Have you gotten a lot of tickets or anything yet?
I've actually gotten 3 red light tickets because I just get so frustrated. I just go through the red light tickets. I've never gotten a speeding light. I got 1 speeding ticket, but that had nothing to do. But yeah, I've gotten 3 red light tickets, and they're the first one was like $75. The other 2 are $110 a piece. So I just hate waiting at the light, and so I just go through them.
Okay. And so, other than like the financial burden that would cause, what other ways does that impact you?
It kind of just makes me mad because like I mean, well, like you said, financially, like $110, I could have just stopped for like 2 freaking seconds, like just relax, calm down. You could be late to. I think on 2 occasions I was going to be late to class. I'm like, you're going to be late, 2 minutes late to class. Like it's no big deal. The teacher will understand. You could have just waited like 30 seconds and sat at the light, and you would have left. You would have. So I was just kind of like mad at myself for. I mean, the financial situation. Who wants to pay $110? But I was more mad at myself. Like, you're like a freak. Like, why couldn't you just wait 30 seconds and you would have prevented all of that? So just mad at myself for putting myself through that 3 times.
All right. And so some of the thoughts that you're having are, you're a freak.
Yeah.
You should be able to control
like
this.
Like a weirdo. I can't even handle myself or something.
You have no, and. So those are the kind of thoughts that, you want to jot down that, that we'll really talk about and look at. And it's good that, that you're aware, you're able to articulate some of them now. And do you see, like, any safety concerns with, maybe not sitting at red lights, or do you check before you drive?
Check before I drive through the light to see if anybody's coming.
Yeah.
I don't remember because I do it so quickly. I don't know if I check or not. I'm sure I do. But I mean, I do have a concern. I mean, because sometimes I do, have a concern whether I'm gonna, There's been other times I haven't got a red light ticket because I go through red lights all the time. Actually, I've only gotten caught 3 times. But yeah, there's been times where I have looked and I've either seen someone coming or not, and I floor it. But
so there could be a potential safety impact.
Safety issue, and regarding the people that I get frustrated me in the slow lane, what I like to do is I like to try to push them along. Like, you need to get over, so I try to ride as close as I can to them. Within reason. I mean, I don't bump their butt. What if they brake check me, and I could, I could injure them, I could injure myself by, acting erratically out on the road.
Has that happened yet?
No, that has not happened yet, but it could happen any day.
Yeah. So these are definitely some of these coping strategies.
Oh yeah.
When you start working on them, and that would definitely be a great deterrent. It's a safety issue.
Oh,
it could be. It's got a financial burden of you continuing to get tickets. If you were to damage your car in an accident, that would be a major financial burden as well. And more tickets most likely. So, and you would end up probably late in the long run.
Oh yeah, I would end up late anyway.
Yeah. So just we'll talk about a number of different coping strategies, different skills that you can use to really help you through these situations. One of them is relaxation training, and we'll go through it maybe more in depth probably next week. We'll have a little bit more time.
Okay.
But just some quick ones now. You can work on your breathing and focus on some deep diaphragmatic breathing. Just or imagine a calm place. Something that kind of brings you peace.
Okay.
You probably don't want to close your eyes during doing these exercises in your car.
Okay.
Just
put my mind there. Though.
Yeah, put your mind there. Think about something that kind of brings you back down, gives you peace. Do you have any ideas about what that could be?
Where I could be viewing?
Mm-hmm.
I would view San Diego, the beach.
Okay.
Where I would view.
So think of like a nice, calm beach. By yourself. No crazy people around you.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I would be by myself.
Wild drivers. Nothing.
Okay.
And just you and the ocean, sand, peace. But really, really think about that with, with all your senses. What would the sounds be? What would
I was just about to say the sounds kind of relax you. Listening to the waves crashing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very soothing.
Yeah. And the birds flying.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice when all you hear is birds and not people, but
yeah, definitely. And then another strategy would be, just looking at different ways that you can approach the problem. How could you handle the situation differently? Say, when somebody's driving slow behind you. Are there other ways that you could handle it?
I could just, what I could do, honestly, is the reason, it does frustrate me, because I just think that, people, you just need to get over, that's just the law. That's what they made a fast lane for.
Yeah.
I didn't make it up, someone else did.
Yeah.
People don't use it, but I think what the biggest thing is because I'm usually running late to something, you know what I mean? Because I took longer to get ready in the morning or something like that. So honestly, if I would give myself, 5-10 extra minutes in the morning, or coming home from work, it shouldn't really, it's still kind of an issue, but more in the morning because I'm kind of rushing to get to work. And I want to get there, a little bit early. So yeah, if I could just do that, I could just leave early, in that way, so what if they are in my way? Let me just relax and drink my coffee, and let me just drive casually to work. So I could do that. Also,
that's one solution.
Yeah, I could just tell myself, sometimes I have told myself, Kristen, you can't control them, you know what I mean? You can't control these people, let them drive the way they want to drive, they were given the same driver's license you were given, they took a little test, if they want to drive in the slow lane, or fast lane slow, that's their right, just, so I kind of, already kind of talk myself, it's not really working too well, but I try to, talk myself into saying, it's their life, not yours, so.
Okay. And that's actually another strategy, that's another coping strategy. We call that cognitive, it's like cognitive restructuring, some cognitive control. And kind of help you control some of the negative thoughts and replace them with more positive ones.
Okay.
So
that's what I was doing?
Oh, cool. Yeah. So instead of saying, Kristen, you're a freak for not, sitting here patiently, you're replacing it with, just sit here. Yeah. It's fine,
Drink my coffee, that makes you feel better.
Enjoy the coffee, and more positive ones geared towards yourself, I can handle this.
Oh, okay.
I can sit here and wait 5 extra minutes. It's, I won't be at this light more than 30 seconds, so I can handle that. Or, kind of telling yourself those kinds of thoughts. And during, with the cognitive piece of it and the thoughts, there are 4 important times that you really want to focus on learning to use these strategies.
Okay.
The first one is, how you initially interpret the situation and how you consider your response. So, like when you're approaching a yellow light and you just, instead of starting to get worked up, you start thinking, it's okay, I can take an extra sip of my coffee now.
Mm-hmm.
I can find the radio station I want to
Mm-hmm.
hear. The second part being when you're actually in the situation, how you actually deal with that moment while you're being frustrated. What would typically frustrate you, how you can handle it now.
Okay.
The third being anything that comes up along the way, during the event. Say you're sitting at the light and an ambulance pulls into the middle of the intersection, so you have to sit there longer. And that, is that something that would really provoke you more?
Yeah, that just happened the other day. I had to sit through 2 lights instead of 1 because of an ambulance. Yeah, and there was a second one coming, so I almost had to sit through a third light. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one experience. And so then you've kind of, you go back to that first one, like how are you going to respond to this event that just happened,
Mm-hmm.
that amplified something that I'm already frustrated about. So, and that's another area that you really want to, focus on your thoughts and try to remain positive, tell yourself, I can do this, I can get through it. Some real positive statements. And then the fourth time would be encouraging yourself after the event has happened to, to kind of deal with your feelings in a way that's not harmful to yourself. Instead of blaming yourself for not handling it appropriately, think about, maybe how can I do it better the next time? Or I sat there through that light
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't run a red light, so
Mm-hmm.
that's better than what I did the time before that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Some positive thoughts like that.
Okay.
And then we'll just practice, saying some different coping statements out loud.
Okay.
Are there any that really stick out with you?
I am patient. That's just one that pops out to me, maybe.
Okay. You want to say that a couple times?
I am patient.
Okay.
I am patient. I mean, maybe after saying it a couple times, I can start believing that I am patient.
Yeah, and that's the idea, is that,
Okay.
that as you say it out loud, you
Mhm.
kind of, it reinforces it.
Mhm.
It kind of reinforces your thoughts, and it's something you can go back to. And maybe in the beginning it's difficult, to think these things. So maybe if you speak it out loud, you're the only person in the car on your way to work,
Yeah,
aren't
so
you?
I can, I can say all I want.
Yep.
Another one comes to mind is I have no control over this. I don't know if that's a positive thought or anything, but I have no control. If I keep saying that over and over, I can start believing that I don't have any control.
Yeah, especially over the event that's causing your anger. So that that is fitting for that.
Okay.
And then as we work through this process, and we'll really go through some different ones over the next few sessions, and we'll practice ways that you can say these things, how you can handle the situations, the red lights, the people in your way, different things that we'll kind of brainstorm some other ideas of areas that really bring up some anxiety for you while you're driving, some anger, some frustration. And then we'll practice, how would you handle that situation, and what are you going to tell yourself, and how will you go through each phase.
Okay.
So, does that sound like a
Yeah,
process?
that sounds really good.
Okay, all right. Well, if you could, just this week, we'll do it each week, but this week go over and keep the journal, like I mentioned earlier, and just jot down, what you thought, what you felt, how you reacted to different situations. And, if you want to start kind of implementing some of these coping strategies, make a note of them as well.
Okay.
And then we can look at, whether we're increasing them and, decreasing some of your negative thoughts, and we'll really evaluate that at the next session.
Oh, okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good then.
Okay. I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Okay, sounds good then.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that was more than